Development Agency of October 28, 2008. Please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing and join me in prayer. At this time, I want to ask for guidance for the city, and I also want to ask that everybody vote a week from today. It's the most important thing you can do as a citizen, and may God keep us all safe on the roads getting there. With that, I thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Caden? Councilmember Kelly?
Present.
Councilmember Crickhoff?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina?
Present.
Mayor Fennessy?
Present. Declarations of conflicts of interest. None this evening. No ceremonial matters. Items from the public. Does anybody have anything this evening they'd like to bring before the council that is not on tonight's posted agenda? Seeing no one, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Item A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. Approval of warrants, and approval of minutes of the October 14th, 2008 regular meeting, and authorize payment of claim for automobile accident involving police vehicle in which the officer was at fault. Questions?
I so move for approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Public hearings, we have several this evening. The first one is adopt resolution number 2008, next to number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4. Chief?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Before you is the, you're familiar with this, why am I stuttering so much tonight? I gotta kick it in gear.
Is there a lot of
Been here
abatements?
since-
Or? Oh.
I guess so. We have our nuisance for our homes that we generally speak to you each council meeting about. This week we do have 3 that we have been unsuccessful coming to a resolution with the homeowner on to prevent the abatement from occurring. So we're asking you to move forward tonight with these 3 homes, one on Grand Canyon. Some examples here on display as well, one on Duck Blind and one on Red Teal. The first 2, Grand Canyon and Duck Blind, are for tall grass and weeds in the front and the backyard. You can see the examples here. They are empty homes, as we talk about generally every 2 weeks. And then the one on Red Teal, however, though, it is occupied, and that is for tall grass, weeds, etc., garbage, trash around broken fences, trees, as well as an animal problem that's occurring in the home. So we'd ask you to authorize us to move forward in the abatement process of each of those homes.
Questions of the chief? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment on these abatements? Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the council.
I so move that we adopt resolution number 2008, next number, a resolution declaring the existence of public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And our second public hearing is second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2008, next to number, an ordinance amending Title 8, Health and Sanitation of the Newman City Code, and adding Chapter 8.07, a medical marijuana dispensary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the second reading, as you indicated, and tonight we would also ask you to adopt this ordinance. This is a specific ban on a medical marijuana dispensary within the city limits. So we'd ask you to add that as a ordinance to the city code. And you have quite a bit of material that was provided to you on this one. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Just a refresher a little bit, you know that we currently within our ordinances prevent all businesses must be in compliance with local, state, and federal law. And we're asking, though, for a specific ban in this case, just because we think that staff believes it better protects us in defense of denying a business permit for someone who is wanting to open this particular type of business within the city limits. So we'd ask you to adopt this ordinance tonight and be happy to answer any questions you may have on it.
Questions of the chief? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment? on the medical marijuana dispensary ordinance? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for some direction.
Make a motion that we adopt this permanent ban on medical marijuana dispensaries.
Second that motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And our next one is a public hearing on the Supplemental Law Enforcement Services Fund.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. This is a familiar item as well. The city has received these funds for the last, I believe, 7 years now. And the funds are actually already identified in the preliminary budget that was adopted by this council early in the year in anticipation of receiving these funds, so this is not extra money. They are required to be spent on front line needs of municipal police service, and in this case, we've identified to supplement some existing budget items, $75,000 of the $100,000 that we would be receiving go towards our ongoing and, as we know, growing dispatch cost that we experience from Stanislaus Regional 911, and the remaining $25,000 would go towards overtime costs to supplement our patrols throughout the city. So we'd ask that you authorize the acceptance of these funds from the state of California.
Questions?
Before we authorize the funds for the 911 part of it, give me a quick recap of where we are pursuing
Sure.
another.
We are having some conversations currently with the city of Oakdale. We have a meeting scheduled next week. We've had some preliminary discussions with them. A lot of statistical information has had to be gathered from their end as well as ours to see if they could accommodate our call volume, our officer-initiated activity, et cetera, and what impact it would have on their services. So we're gearing up, ramping that up a little bit more next week, where we actually will be sitting down and trying to hash out how that would work. On the side, we continue to talk with the JPA group for Stanislaus Regional 911. We've had some cost-sharing meetings with them. The current cost-sharing formula for dispatch expires this fiscal year. So we have a meeting next Tuesday, city manager and I, with that group to revisit how we determine each of the city's cost. Unfortunately, we don't suspect that any new formula will be a reduction in costs, and quite the opposite probably. And one of the biggest issues with Stanislaus Regional 911 is there's no cost containment in the provision. They're at over $7 million budget to operate a dispatch center. And what we're hearing is the expectation is 09-010 is looking at nearly $8 million. So the dispatchers that work in that facility do a fine job. They're very professional, and they are paid handsomely for their service. So that's the biggest cost is personnel cost. Some dispatchers there make far more than our police officers, and police officers in other cities as well. They are handsomely paid for what they do. So that's ongoing. We're obviously looking at other cities and some outside the box things. I think we mentioned before about there's 2 law enforcement entities in Southern California that actually dispatch for agencies in California and even in Nevada. So it's, currently we're dispatched out of Modesto, so location really isn't a big issue for us. The proximity of the dispatcher is not critical. We don't see the dispatcher. It's all done over the radio and over the telephone or the computer. So theoretically, there would be nothing prohibiting us from outsourcing that activity to someone in Southern California or elsewhere. Obviously, if the service was the same or better, and of course the cost went along with it. So we're exploring all of that, but it's a huge project that hopefully we'll have some pretty firm answers, I would think, by the end of this fiscal year.
Thank you.
Has anybody looked into, and I'm not kidding here, but call centers in Philippines and all that? I mean, have they looked at doing it like
That's what
that?
Ken just said.
Huh?
That's what Ken just said.
No, India. India, you can't. Yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
India.
that would not work.
I don't think the radios go that far.
Well, no, but it's all satellite anyway.
You get it back in Tagalog and you'll never understand them anyway.
Well, in India, I don't want to touch it, but the Philippines, you can. They sound like a Texas accent.
We have not explored that, council member.
I'm just, I'm just, not you, not us so much, Chief, but I mean, anyone else. I mean, you talk about a savings. Wow.
Right. We haven't, obviously, the training standards and the level of expertise required in California law enforcement, probably they wouldn't meet that service for us. But
Maybe this is an option here, but I also thought, weren't you guys talking to Patterson and Gustine about this too?
not necessarily about the dispatch. Obviously, the other cities are very concerned. Gustine has their own arrangement currently with the city of Turlock. So we're looking to do something similar that Gustine does.
With Oakdale.
They've contracted with Turlock, and they pay $101,000 a year, and we are 180 something. I don't remember. So there's an example of the difference. So we know we can get the product cheaper.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of who can we do that with and accomplish it.
Gotcha.
Certain cities, the initial outlay is going to be more because they're on different frequencies, different technology. The advantage that we're really hoping it works out with Oakdale is they are on the same, they're on a VHF frequency the same as us. So this sounds very simplistic, but I mean there'll be more to it. With simply reprogramming our radios and flip a couple switches, and we would really be ready to go. You know, there's a little more to it, but the difference in going with Turlock or say Sirius in an 800 megahertz radio system, we would have to invest quite a bit to switch over to contract with them. So we're really hopeful that it could work out with Oakdale. So that's really where we're concentrating our efforts right now is Oakdale.
Thank you. Further questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment on the Supplemental Law Enforcement Services Fund? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council.
I make a motion for approval.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And our next public hearing is appeal of Planning Commission's decision denying variance number 2008-02. The applicant is Joe Winters.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Before you tonight is an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny variance 2008-02, where the applicant, Joe Winters, has requested approval of a 14-foot tall accessory building where the municipal code states a maximum accessory building height of 12 feet. The municipal code states that neither personal, family, or financial difficulties, loss of prospective profits, or existing neighboring violations, if any, shall constitute justification for a variance. As required by law, findings must be made to justify a variance. Those findings are identified in your staff report. Given that the Planning Commission is compelled to make these findings and ensure that projects comply with the general plan and municipal code and are consistent with their prospective neighborhoods and that the general health and safety of the public is protected, the Commission in this instance could not grant the variance application. As provided in City Code, the applicant has appealed the Planning Commission's decision on the grounds that he wishes to protect his property from further vandalism, is willing to create a visual buffer through the planting of trees at his rear property line, and the lack of opposition from the surrounding neighborhood. No formal public comments were reached. However, I was approached at the market from a neighbor stating that she had no issue with the accessory building height. For your reference, we have compiled the following slides for your review. Why do I always press the wrong button? This is an aerial photograph. Which button do I press? The middle?
Left of the center.
Oh, okay. This is on Driscoll looking northeast. The wall, including the ivy, is 8 feet tall. The masonry wall underneath is 7 feet 2 inches tall. The accessory building is 14 feet at the peak. This is an additional view just to kind of show the length. It's 41 feet 8 inches in length. This is looking northwest on Driscoll. And this is just for comparative purposes. An average streetlight is 25 feet tall. I just kind of wanted to show that in relation to the accessory building. These are some neighborhood views. This is from the front yard, as you can see. This is from a neighboring yard. And I believe those are all that I have. Staff recommends that the council uphold the Planning Commission's decision to deny variance 2008-02. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Stephanie, seeing as the building's up already, you want to elaborate on how we got to this point?
Sure. The applicant had visited me a matter of months ago asking about accessory buildings, temporary structures, things of that nature. Given the information that I was provided, I had told them that if it is not a permanent structure and is following lot coverage requirements, setback requirements, and height requirements, no building permit is required, as stated in the code. A couple of weeks later, we were notified that this structure had been put in place. Per the applicant's statement, it ends up that the contractor that he went through had, I guess he had ordered a 12-foot structure, and they had come on a Friday evening after building department was closed, and they ended up having to do a 14-foot structure to fit the RV in. So that is why it was erected without any permits being taken out.
Thank you. Further questions for Stephanie? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and if the applicant would like to comment.
Hello, it's Joe Winters, 544 Waxman Court. When, like Stephanie said, when we first planned on getting this thing put up, it was 12 feet. These guys were supposed to show up at 10 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and they showed up at like after 7 on Friday evening. They were assembling it, and by the way, I'd have to get at an angle from my house. They figured 12 feet was going to be fine. We tried backing it in several times, and we couldn't get in through there's an angle right here because of this corner of the house where I had to back it in. My air conditioners would hit on the corner over here, and so we had to go up, so high, and that's how we ended up with 14 feet, which we did plan on 12. No problem at all. I did talk to all my neighbors all around, even the ones behind me over on Sumac and the neighbors next door. Nobody had a problem with it, so I didn't want to put this up and make all my neighbors mad at me. So I made sure they all had no problem with it. If anybody was going to have a problem with it, I would never have done it. One of the main reasons why we put it up was there was 4 big Modesto ashes behind my house, and I guess Ernie said that they got a disease and they knocked them down. And that's one of the reasons why you can see it so much off of Driscoll. After they knocked them down, we started having problems with vandalism with my trailer when I had the trailer. And we went through 2 or 3 windows from people throwing stuff from Driscoll. So as soon as we got the motorhome, it wasn't even a week later, there was a 5th of tequila bottle thrown, and it hit it. So that's when we decided, we're just going to, and I went down and talked to Stephanie about it. And we decided getting one of those. I paid extra for the blue. I was going to try to match the house as much as I could. The color blue they sent me to sample was lighter than that because I wanted it to be somewhat with the house and with the white trim with the gutters. And it's a little bit bluer than I wanted it, but I didn't want it to be a big white eyesore, which is, the thing is big. But my neighbors next to me on the would be right side with us. They love it because there's more privacy in their backyard now. They said so. But other than that, we're next tax refund we get, we're going to put a driveway in. It'll be cement with brick lined, so it looks just like the house. So I won't have to cross the lawn. That's what we're planning on. And we'll probably go through the city and try to get a driveway put in, for a permit for a driveway. Other than that, it's like I said, it's the only reason we had to go up as high as we did. I wasn't planning on it, but it just happened.
So, Joe, there's nothing that could be done to, lower it? Looks like it's pretty tight now. Like you said, it looks like the air condition is the high spot on the motorhome.
Messes everything up. If they lower it, I doubt if I'll be able to get it in. If I do, it'll be really iffy if I don't hit something accidentally. Just gives me a little more room. And they said they can, if it would work, they can drop it, but it's like $1,300 because they have to disassemble it and put it back together. So.
With no guarantees that
there's no
fit.
guarantee that if I put it back in, it's not going to make it. So the thing, I got almost 4,000 of that thing. So if I knew I was going to go up 12 feet, I would have took care of this before. 14 feet, I would have took care of all this before it was up. I wouldn't want to go through this stuff. But the pictures are actually picture like this one. I moved it back as far as I can on my property towards the back wall of Driscoll, so my front neighbors wouldn't see it that bad because it looks worse than it is. But you come around through my neighborhood through the court, it's, it's hard to see. You can't see it too bad. I didn't want to make a big eyesore. But like I said, the Driscoll is the reason why is those trees are gone and it just coming down. If you come from the east to west, you can hardly see it. When you're coming west to east, that's when you can really see it because the trees are gone.
Any questions?
No, the only comment I would make, it's unfortunate when something like this happens, because if we allow this, then we're setting a precedence. And of course, you're saying your neighbors don't mind and things like that. But those neighbors won't always be your neighbors, and somebody else can move in, and we've got other parts of the city that could do similar type things. So I'm really concerned that it is that high, to be quite honest with you. That it's not within the code.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 feet. I mean,
But it's
But
just,
these neighbors here up to the right, they've told us that they're not moving unless we move. So, and they're the ones that mostly, like I said, they love it because it gives them more privacy.
Any other comments? Joe, if you had more time to work with the company, is there something else could be worked out? You think could it be
Well,
I
I
don't
can't move it any farther this way because of the
variance, the
yeah,
setbacks? Yeah.
That's the main thing there. I'm right at almost 5 feet. Yeah, I mean, we moved it around as much as we could with that 12 foot and it just wouldn't work. I mean, with the vandalism, it's the best we could. Like I said, I would have loved having it at 12 feet because I really didn't want to go through this. And we do have a lot of money into it.
Okay.
Well, Joe, real quick, what would you do if we vote it down? What's your next?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to have them try to come out, spend $1,300 to try to fix it. I mean, it's like I said, I've already got investment in it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, then I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do. Those things are only, you can't cut down the air conditioners on them. That's the problem. It's like I said, I would have loved to stay at 12 feet. That's what I think. I didn't think we were gonna have a problem, but we did.
If you turned it around, drove it the other way, it wouldn't make any difference. Huh?
No.
Same.
Yeah,
It's right in the middle.
I tried everything.
Tried it.
I went through that. I went back and forth that thing. I mean, I tried everything, and it was just really the angle. If you go there, you can check the angle because when I get in here, I gotta go straight back and almost hit the side there to bring it in just to miss that corner. It's that corner that really missed. Well, it's this corner of the house, but that corner of the awning that gets me.
Joe, the question I have, did you know that the height requirement was 12 feet?
Yeah. Well, when I talked to Stephanie.
Before you put the structure up?
Yeah, but when they were assembling it, is when we found that out. And I mean, no matter what, they already got the money and they were putting it up. That was,
seems like you'd have some recourse back to them that if they knew it was supposed to be 12 and they put it 14, they have an obligation to you to make it right.
Yeah, I thought about that. I haven't talked to them about it yet. I mean, but the thing is, if it goes down to 12, I don't think I'll be able to get that in.
Yeah, but they certainly went above the code, and if they have a permit to put something in like that, it's 12 feet, it's not 14. So.
Yeah, if they knew the requirement, as Bob said, I mean, you'd think they'd be liable for if you told them that.
Yeah. We're trying to get it in action to protect you as best we can.
Yeah.
Is it necessary for a company like that to check with the city to find out what the city's ordinance and codes
Well,
are
they ask
before they
you.
establish?
They ask you when you're buying it if it needs a permit, and that's why I went down to Stephanie. It wasn't a permanent building, and I said no.
What responsibility lies with the homeowner for any type of complaint?
Joe, is there any way? And this sounds crazy. I'm not a mechanic, but where you could actually put hydraulics or something under that thing and just lift it?
No,
Each time you drive in, and then you just lower it to meet the requirement of 12 feet.
I've never heard anything. like that.
Let the air out of the tires,
Again, I
Joe.
can't see exactly
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
It looks like a tent to me.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
a steel structure.
Steel structure.
And what they do, they lag bolt it, so it doesn't, the
Well,
wind doesn't take
maybe
it.
you can, I
Yeah.
don't know, ask them that. That would be a lot cheaper, I would think.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I don't know if they could do that or not.
But check that out.
Yeah. It's an option. I mean, I've never seen it. I don't know if that'd even be more money.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know how to even do it. I mean,
Yeah.
here's an engineer right there knows exactly what to do.
I mean,
How
I,
to get a thing in your.
Yeah.
You're always on the.
Ken, you're on the Philippines. I'd be willing to give Joe, a month or whatever to try to work with this company to tell them, hey, the city's very unhappy that they knew that it was going to be 12 feet and all of a sudden it's 14 feet, and if they want to ever do business down again, no.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could
Yeah.
work something
I
out
could
with
call
them.
I could talk to them and see what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you understand our position. We want to be as compassionate as we can to any citizen of this city. But at the same time, we have guidelines. And if in fact, like Bob said, if we okay this and allow this, well, then everybody else will say, I'll just throw up a 14, 16, 18, 20 foot, whatever. He got a variance, I should get a variance. So I agree with John. We'll give you some time to see if there's another solution to the problem.
Okay.
Bring it back to us.
Okay. Fair enough. I'll talk to them, see what they have to say.
Right.
Yeah, just tell them that they're responsible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take a hard line. Let them know that they put it up.
Okay. Sounds good.
Would anybody else like to comment from the public?
Have you considered
Yes.
maybe dropping your driving feet?
I thought about that, Joe.
Yeah, well, I got a slab back there already. Yeah, it's already got a cement slab. Yeah, it actually melt on that.
The tires. That's what you ever hear
Let the
about
air
that
out of the
story
tires,
with the
right?
bridge.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they couldn't, and it's steel structure, and it was going to hit the bridge, and some little
4 inches.
10-year-old kid comes by, and all these engineers are out there, all this thousands of dollars looking at it, and the kid says,
Flatten the tires.
take some air out of the tire. But seriously, take some maybe air out of the tires when you get it to the 12 feet.
Yeah, I don't know if that would make it.
We're trying to-
Hey, Joe,
Probably end up
Joe,
cutting the tire.
work with us.
We're gonna come by and check it out
I've
myself.
thought about it, but I ended up cutting the tire, I know that.
Of course, should have a big party if we were to fix it.
There you go.
Any other public comment? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Joe, thank you. And if we want to continue it, I need a motion to continue it to the next meeting.
I'll make that motion to continue.
I'll second that. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, see what you can do, and
So Joe, this will be
Go from there.
continued till November 18th.
okay, great. Thank you. I'll get working on it tomorrow.
thank you.
Thank you.
And our last public hearing is introduction and first reading of ordinance number 2008, next to number, an ordinance regarding maintenance, security, and rehabilitation of abandoned and vacant property, and authorize staff to prepare and publish a summary of said ordinance.
Well, council, we promised this to you a while back. It's changed its form a couple, 3 times, but I think, or I hope I come up with something that will address the foreclosure crisis as well as some of the general problems that we have with vacant or abandoned property. I believe this was provided to you even before the packet was sent out, so I'm ready to answer any questions or give you further information at your discretion.
Questions?
Well, the only comment I'd have, this is something that we've all wanted and we need in our city, to protect the community, and there's so many homes, unfortunately, that foreclosure or for whatever reason are not being taken care of, and it certainly takes away from the value of the properties. And I think something like this gives us a little bit of teeth so we can go out and take care of those problem areas. So I thank you, Tom, for all the work you've done on this.
You're welcome, and I also want to say it ties in with your presentation on redevelopment. I forgot to add that earlier. This is how you add to your area is if you have blight, and we'll be able to show
Yeah, great.
with some enforcement here that there is a basis to expand the redevelopment.
Right. I have a record. of it, yeah.
Good on a bad sense.
Yeah.
Good on a bad sense, yeah. If there's no other questions, Tom, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anybody like to comment on this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council.
I make a motion that we adopt the maintenance, security, and rehabilitation of abandoned and vacant properties.
It's the introduction this time.
Oh, just the introduction.
First reading.
I'll make a motion we introduct.
Do we have a,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much
Very nice.
for inducting.
Well written.
Item 10, regular business. Item A, adopt resolution number 2008, next number, resolution approving redevelopment agency loan and affordable housing agreement and authorizing the executive director to execute said agreement.
Thank you, Chairman and fellow board members. As the redevelopment agency back in April of 2008, you did approve a resolution that would set aside $300,000. This is for the affordable housing project at the terminus of, I think it's M Street behind the car wash. And it's 72 units. With that, when I look at the implementation plan, our requirement is to provide 45 affordable housing units, and that's what we're supposed to use our redevelopment money for, or low and moderate income housing money for. All told, when this project is completed, we would be able to provide 72 of these units towards that requirement. So we would exceed that and actually go into our next implementation plan in our housing requirements. So we would probably meet about 8 or 10 years worth of affordable housing for the city with the development of this particular project. So as part of the loan, it's kind of been structured in it's actually a participation agreement that includes 2 loans. The first loan is for $225,000. That loan will be used by the corporation to acquire the property, at which time we will be placed on, we will be given a deed of trust in first position. Upon the corporation successfully having a tax credit allocation application, or TCAC application, once they are successful in getting that funding, and then they will get a second loan for $75,000. And at that point in time, their project, the financing is substantially complete, and they'll do a few other things to complete the financing to show that they have a viable project and it's going to be moving forward. At that time, they're eligible to get the second loan, which is $75,000. We, as part of this agreement, they have until December 31st of 2009 to secure their TCAC funding and financing. So that gives them 1 year. At such time, if they have not, the agency has 2 opportunities. One, they can call the note due, or they can, 2, give them a 6-month extension at that point in time. So this was actually, agreement was written by our attorneys, Ira Shang, and she specializes in redevelopment law. So we're comfortable with the language, and would recommend that we move forward with this agreement.
It's actually a good time to be building affordable housing. I mean, builders will, they need to work. They're going to be able to get things done cheaper, and there's money out there for this type of project. So
The problem isn't the workers. The problem is the current credit crunch that
that's
we
true.
have right now.
Yeah, finding the additional.
This is probably $10-12 million project. So it's pretty substantial. So that putting together that kind of financing is very difficult, and then there's a stigma that's traveling with affordable housing right now, and subprime loans and all of those things, and getting TCAC approval. So it's not as cut and dry as we'd like. But if they are successful in getting their TCAC funding, I think the rest of the funding will then fall into place, and we'll have a successful project.
Questions? Comments?
When are they looking to start? As soon as they get the funding?
As soon as they get the funding, that's
Yeah.
correct. That's the key component, is getting through the state funding cycle. So, and that happens twice a year. I believe either March or April, and then again in October. So potentially They just recently submitted funding and awards in December. Well, yeah, they'll hear something on their latest submittal whether or not they got it this time. So if they don't get it this time, they still have 2 more opportunities before this participation agreement expires.
Gotcha.
Further questions? If not, some direction here.
I so move for approval of resolution 2008 next number, approving and authorizing the execution of a participation agreement between the agency and 751 Driscoll Avenue, LP.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Staff reports.
No supervisor today, so I guess
No
I'm
supervisor.
first.
You weren't prepared, huh? Oh.
No, I wasn't.
Are we number 12?
Still scribbling my notes.
Oh.
As I mentioned in our workshop, and I don't know if that's going to get telecasted, but November 10th, I'll be doing a presentation to the Newman Crows Landing School Board regarding our aquatic center project. I think it's a great opportunity for the school board to come on board and be a partner in this. I think it's a great opportunity for not only their potentially a high school competition team, but PE classes, after school programs, summer school classes. There's lots of different programs that could then work together with that. So hopefully, again, I'll do the presentation on the 10th. It's highly undoubtful that they'll give me any kind of answer that night, but at least we'll plant the seed, and hopefully that'll germinate into a partnership and that we can move forward with in funding this program.
You're going to do the whole PowerPoint presentation, I would
Yes.
hope, or good,
Yes.
good.
Yeah, it'll be a PowerPoint presentation, just kind of walking them through the design
We get
and how the aquatic committee took the high school. We really took them into consideration with like a competition pool. I mean, really, we could get away with a 6-lane, 25-yard pool for a recreational type league, but we added the 2 extra lanes, makes it an 8-lane competition pool, and it really makes it ideal for hosting high school swim meets or even league competitions or even a divisional or regional competition at that particular level. So, and then we'll have a diving board, so they'll have a diving team as well. That could be accomplished there with stands and the rest. So, just a reminder that our next meeting on November 11th is canceled, and it has been rescheduled for November 18th. That is the 3rd Monday in November. That is not a typical meeting date, but we will be hosting that there because the following week the meeting is canceled as well. So the meetings of November 11th and November 25th are canceled, and the meeting on November 18th will be held in their place. If you haven't gotten to view it, the city just received 2 new CNG vehicles, compressed natural gas vehicles. As you know, we have a fueling station at our water tower. Those vehicles were attained through a grant, CMAQ grant, federal grant that reduces air quality. We just took those vehicles to Fresno for a trip. Got great gas mileage. They drive really well. They're good for the environment, and the fuel costs are much cheaper. I think we're probably paying, I'd say magnitude of order, maybe $1 a gallon, I think, or pretty close to that.
How's
great.
that working with the pickups? We have 2 pickups. They're an extra 3. They're 3/4-ton pickups. How has their performance been?
It went really well.
Wow.
Guys really enjoyed it.
We don't sacrifice much in horsepower. It's still a good size. We still have the payload and the truckload, and we don't really leave town that much. Every once in a while to the dump, but so it's working out really well.
Fuel economy comparable? T. Boone Pickens might be right after all.
T. Boone was on 6th.
We filled the tank up on our trip to Fresno. We got back and we still had a little bit more than 1/3 of a tank, and so it's not that big a tank. We got great gas mileage.
What happens if you exceed your area? Are there fueling stations?
Well, we're developing a map. but you can't make it to Sacramento and Fresno and back. That's kind of the range a little bit. So there are a number of fueling stations in the county. There's one in Los Banos through PG&E. We're trying to see if we can work that out with them. But we're trying to develop a map and to show what our range is. My understanding is they're CNG fueling stations are starting to pop up into the Bay Area. So, and those are commercial stations. So we actually have a slow fill station, so it takes a number of hours to fill up the tank once it gets empty. So we have another grant that we were successful in getting, and that was for recycled plastic signs. So the police department, city hall, council chambers, the fire department, and Copeland Park will all be getting new signage. And those are consistent with the signage that you've seen at the Teen Center, Herd Barrington Park, Janet Carlson Park, Dinsmore Park, Barrington Park. All these are all new signs that we've been getting. And this is the last year. I think this is the last round of signs that we'll buy. So next year when we get the grant, we'll probably buy recycled plastic furniture and start putting that into the aquatic center and start having picnic tables and the like at the aquatic center as well. Been working a lot on animal control. As you know, if you've heard that the county already canceled our contract and they plan on canceling that as of December 1st. They have to give us 30-day notice, and I expect November 30th I will get that notice. And they're doing it in an effort to force cities to take their plan, which we should be thankful, because we're going to find a much better, more cost-effective way to provide animal control to our residents, and an easier way for them to recover their animals after they've been picked up. So we're hoping that the fact that we're going to be closer nearby, the shelter be closer nearby, we'll be able to reunite animals with their owners. Most animal owners, it'd be difficult to get all the way over to the airport, Modesto Airport, to pick up your animal over there. So they may be more inclined to do it now that we're going to have the shelter here on the west side.
Michael, would it make sense if animals are picked up in this area to use local veterinarians for them to drop them off, and then that's where they can pick their animals up for a fee?
But without going into too much detail, that's what we plan to do. We're going to send out an RFP for veterinary services. We're currently working with the city of Gustine for shelter services, and then we're currently looking at our existing staffing levels to see if we can utilize an existing staff member as animal control. The number of animals we pick up on a weekly basis is not great, so it may be something that we may be able to do without adding additional staff time to us. And then work with the city of Gustine, and the chief and I are working towards an agreement with them for shelter services. And what we would also do if we continue to go down this path is take pictures of the animals, post them on our website. That way, if you lose your animal right away, you can go to our website to see if we have your animal. Hopefully reunite the animals with their owners. Then on top of all that, part of our contract requires us to give the county all of our licensing fees. We take that back and we get all those fees. So this is actually going to be a net positive for us in terms of our current arrangement versus what we anticipate to be our new arrangement. So actually going to be a good deal for us. And I know the other members have asked us if we're going to, when are you going to tell the county? When am I going to tell the county? They're canceling their contract on me. I don't have to tell them anything.
They already told us.
They already told you?
Yeah, they told me, so I don't suspect that we'll be sending them any letters saying thank you, but we'll be done with that.
Talk big, Supervisor Martini's not here.
Yeah.
I still need that $300,000 for the aquatic center.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then actually, they don't have the manpower to continue to provide patrol services to us, and it actually frees up additional capacity at their pound. So I think, really it could be a win-win situation.
I think in the end, you provide a better service to the citizen.
We will. I think in the long run, the residents of Newman will be better served by us taking back control and partnering with the city of Gustine if we get that all worked out.
And we did that years ago. That worked very well with Gustine.
Yes. So, with that, I'd just like to take this last moment to thank Ernie Garza. As you know, this is Ernie's last meeting today. He retires at the end of the week. And Ernie's been nothing but a great resource for me during my full 6 years here, especially the last 2.5 as city manager. He's taught me a lot about public works, and you really don't understand the in-depth that public works has in terms of responsibilities in this community: streets, water lines, sewer lines, storm drainage, park maintenance. There's a lot out there that goes under his control, and I'd like to thank him for his 20-plus years of experience with the city of Newman. Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you, Ernie. You're
How
up.
goes that handicap you're gonna get now, Ernie?
Yeah,
After that, I think you're up next, Ernie.
yeah.
Yes.
Give us a riveting report.
I'm out of riveting reports. I really don't have anything for you tonight other than to say I'm like the mayor. I'm lame, but
That's it. We're
I'm
lame. We're
lamer
lame
than
together.
he
Huh?
is. I just
You're lamer earlier than me. Yeah.
I just want to thank you all for it. It was great. It was a great ride here working for the city. I really, truly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenges that I received, and the assignments. I intend to stay around here for a while, so you will be seeing me around. So it's. I just wanted to thank you, and that's all I had. And one last thing I've always wanted to do is go, "Hi, Mom."
I hope she has cable, Ernie. Otherwise, good. Thank you.
That's very good.
Other staff reports?
I've been volunteered. Just a couple things quickly. The last 2 weeks have been very busy for us. Our calls have increased dramatically in officer activity, so I don't really know what to attribute that is. Usually we get a little slower as it cools, but we've been a little busier.
It's been hot still, that's why.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We have had an increase in auto theft, so I'd like to ask everyone watching at home and here tonight, please, it's about to get cooler, and today's modern vehicles, they don't need to warm up. You're simply doing that to warm you up, so they're warm inside when you get in. But the engine doesn't require that, and you're just inviting someone an opportunity to take your car for a ride and impact our already problematic auto theft issues. So please keep your cars locked at night, and we've had several just over the weekend. We had a bit of a rash of auto thefts. Our arsons that we've been talking about a little bit, they went away for a few weeks. Our friend returned last night with 2 fires in Pioneer Park, so we're still asking for people to come forward with information about that. Cash rewards are available. You can remain anonymous. We'll work with you to help us identify who's responsible for those. I think we're at 13 now, and 0 arsons in 2007 and 13 in 08 so far. And just so far they've all been very minor, but unknown if it's related or not. I believe it was 2 or 3 nights ago. It was a large hay fire just outside the city limits. It was very close proximity to the city. The fire investigators tell us that was arson as well, so substantial loss there, but we don't know if it's related. So Michael covered animal control, and a lot of problems with these vacant houses. So, but I don't know if that tonight's first reading on that ordinance will help in the area of maybe cleaning them up. But what I'm talking about is the transient population. We continue to find several a week with transients living inside, forcing entry, and sort of taking up sleeping arrangements there. And so we just ask people to continue to call us and keep an eye on these houses that are vacant. We can't. There's obviously so many. It's difficult for us to check them all. Make sure all the doors are secure. If you have those in your neighborhood, let us know if you see something out of the ordinary. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I just wanted to let you know, sorry, Bob, soccer ended Saturday. It was a great 8 weeks, though. Had to fight a few rain. rain delays, but other than that, we were able to participate every Saturday. Basketball signups, regular registration was to end last Friday, the 24th, but due to late notice in the newspaper on my part, we have extended regular registration until the 31st of this month. And then we'll continue to do 2 weeks of late registration after that. And those practices begin December 1st, and the games will begin January 10th. Any questions?
How many have you signed up for that now?
For basketball?
Yeah.
As of 5 o'clock today, about 86, which
that
is
normal?
about half, and I normally get half of my participants registered in late registration, so
Gotcha.
I'm running about normal.
You know, we have to thank you for all the young people that you get involved in these programs. And of course, if they're involved in programs, they're not doing things they shouldn't be doing. So it's a wonderful thing and to have the kind of programs we have in Newman. And thank you so much.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Terry. No more staff reports. Done, finished. Council comments? Ted?
No, not tonight. Thank you.
Bob?
Nothing tonight?
Mike?
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
And I have nothing either, and we will adjourn for labor negotiations. Thank you very much.
That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Later on.